So we're starting obviously in Unit 1. So if you could open your books to page 3, we're going to begin with a narrative in set 1. So remember, a narrative tells a story, and this story could either be truthful or it could be imagined. So what do we mean? Well, a truthful story is a story where things could really happen in the real world. So a story about a boy and a girl who go to school and have a nice day and then go home and go out to dinner with their parents. That's a story that could really happen. But then a story about a boy and girl who go to school and then when they get to school their teacher turns into a dragon, that couldn't really happen, could it? So that's what we call an imaginary story. So remember, all narratives contain an orientation, which is the beginning of the story, a complication, which is the middle, and a resolution, which is the ending of the story. And remember, a narrative is written to entertain, to teach, to motivate, or to guide the reader. So mainly to entertain or to teach the reader a lesson. So we have a story here called Dabir and the Pyramid. So Dabir in this story is a donkey, and the pyramid refers to the pyramids in ancient Egypt. So maybe you've heard of those before. Thousands of years ago in ancient Egypt, people used to bury their kings, who were called pharaohs, under the pyramids. Okay, so they were pretty big, and some of them are still standing today. So let's have a read of a bit of it. Dabir, the grey donkey, trudged through the pink sand, his back heavily laden with a load of dates. They were lying, still attached to their branches, on the blanket which was draped across Dabir's back. His master stopped the donkey when they arrived at the ancient crumbling stone step pyramid. He tied the rope around Dabir's neck loosely and then tethered him to a wooden post that was sticking out of the sand. Then we read that there were tourists walking around the area taking photographs and having a look at the pyramid. And we see that the pyramid was in ruins, which means that it's falling apart and crumbling. Okay, and then we find out that the poor donkey is covered with sand from the desert and flies are buzzing around his eyes and his mouth. Okay, and what happens on the next page? Well, what happens is he gets bored. Poor Dabir, he wants to do something fun. So he tugs at the rope that's tying him up and goes for a walk. Okay, so that's basically what we're up to. So, set 1, getting the facts. Let's look at set 1. What's the best answer? Question number 1. What was draped across Dabir's back? Was it the load of dates? Was it the rope? Or was it the blanket? Okay, let's have a look. We need to go back over to the page and find the answer. Where is it? There we are. It's in the first sentence. It says, Dabir trudged through the pink sand, his back heavily laden with a load of dates. Okay, but hang on, is that the exact question? The question is, what was draped across Dabir's back? Now the dates are not draped across his back. What does it say in the next sentence? They were lying, still attached to their branches, on the blanket which was draped across Dabir's back. So it's actually the blanket that's on his back. So don't get tricked there. You've got to read it carefully. The answer is C. Let's look at number 2. What was the first thing that Dabir's master did when they arrived at the pyramid? Did he A, tether Dabir to a wooden post? Or did he B, tie a rope around Dabir's neck? Or did he C, swat the flies out of Dabir's eyes? Well, I don't think he did C, because I think Dabir had to try and get the flies off himself. Okay, so let's have a look. When they first got to the pyramid, his master stopped the donkey when they arrived at the ancient crumbling stone step pyramid. He tied the rope around Dabir's neck loosely and then tethered him to a wooden post. Okay, so the answer is A. He tethered Dabir to a wooden post. Let's move over to set 2, drawing conclusions. Can you write true or false for the following statements? Number 1, Dabir found it hard to walk across the sand. I think, let's have a look. He trudged through the pink sand. That's right. If you see the word trudged, that means that you're walking very slowly and as if you're very tired, like this. So if you're trudging, you're sort of dragging your feet along the ground. So I think that Dabir did find it hard to walk across the sand. So the answer would be yes. Number 2 is an interesting question. The story is set in ancient times. What do we mean when we talk about a story being set somewhere? Well, that means where where does the story happen, but when as well does the story happen. So is the story written in ancient times or is it modern? Ancient or modern? Ancient means a long, long, long time ago. Well, actually it isn't ancient, it's modern, because we read about tourists walking around taking photographs. They didn't have cameras in ancient times. They definitely didn't have anything to take photographs with. And also we see that the pyramid was in ruins. So in ancient times, the pyramid was not in ruins, it was brand new. Okay, so there's some clues. So can you finish the rest of drawing conclusions? And then in set 3, making inferences, you need to choose the best ending for these sentences. So number 1, the story takes place in ancient Egypt or modern Egypt. Remember, it takes place in modern Egypt because it's got people who are just like us, walking around and having a look and taking photographs. Okay, and you can finish questions 2 and 3. And then on the next page, page 6, we're continuing with the story. And Dabir gets up to lots more adventures. He goes walking into a beehive, it seems. He goes walking around the pyramid and then he runs into some bees. And then what does he do? He starts to kick sand that flies into camels' eyes, and then they try and bite him and then they chase him around. Okay, so he gets up to lots of adventures. So have a read of that one and then answer the next set of questions.